Civil society grouping Defend Our Democracy campaign continues to be concerned about the bashing of the rule of law in the country. From tomorrow, it's going to be hosting a conference for the democratic renewal and change in the country. Let's find out more about this from the Executive Director of Defend Our Democracy, Neeshan Balton. Neeshan, good afternoon. Thank you very much. Just an overriding question first. The conference is going to be held tomorrow. It's over 2 days, starting tomorrow until Saturday. What has led you at this time to organize it?
Thank you very much. Just one clarification. I'm not the Executive Director of the campaign. I'm the Executive Director of the Ahmed Kathara Foundation, a supporting organization of Defend Our Democracy. Your first two items here today on the tavern as well as the electricity crisis in this country, I think indicates that the kinds of breakdown that South Africa faces today, and that stems from problems within its democratic architecture, problems from the people who are meant to be doing things to make this democracy work, as well as citizens who are trying to figure out what do they need to do to get this country to work, and how do they hold those who are in office accountable. So the conference really comes at a time, a year after the July insurrection, and it comes immediately after the release of the final report by Chief Justice Zondo. And its premise is to begin to look at where are the weaknesses in our democracy. What is it that needs to be renewed? What must be changed fundamentally? And what is it that as civil society, we need to be doing individually as well as collectively to build a new political culture, a new sense and hope for this country, that the crisis we are in is such that we can respond to elements of it if we work better and in a more coordinated way.
Okay, so just give a sense to our viewers what kind of topics, or what kind of areas you're going to be covering. I'm aware from the program I've seen that you, for example, are going to be directing one area, one section of the discussions tomorrow.
So our conference has two keynote addresses from Mcebisi Jonas, who will be talking about the need for political renewal. Prof. Sanri Africa, who was part of the team that looked at the failures of state security and the July insurrection, will talk about lessons from that insurrection. And then Reverend Chikane does the overall opening. The audience of over 300 participants from probably 150 or 200 civil society organizations will spend a lot of time deliberating on these inputs and identifying the key weaknesses in our democracy, but also what they think the solutions to them are. We then break away into 7 working groups on issues of looking at our democracy, the public service, political parties in parliament. Importantly, this conference also has a session on looking at people's power in a democracy and looking at the possibilities today. And here we have a number of people sharing their experiences of how communities are reorganizing today to deal with the issues that they face. This conference will have a session on jobs and is looking at what must be done meaningfully to address this unemployment crisis and what is it civil society can do. Importantly, we look at the State Capture Commission, its recommendations, and again, what is the response from civil society? And lastly, is the role of civil society in preventing a complete collapse of the local government system in this country. So we've identified key crisis issues, key areas of policy reform that we think this conference must begin to advocate for. And from the inputs from our pre-conference discussion document, we've had over 100 submissions, and all of the content of those submissions flow into the working groups as well as into the program of action that will emerge from this conference.
Yeah, I think when I looked at the program, what's very interesting for me is, yes, you are coming around, you are discussing issues, but you want to say what is next, what can be done about this. Therefore, it's a future-looking, it's like a forward-looking type of a conference, which is very important that it does not just become a talk shop.
No, it's incredibly important for us. I don't think the country can afford for us not to looking at actions that help to take us out of the crisis that we are in. I think as all of your news items have been reporting on, the crisis is so diverse and deep in this country that there is a need for progressive people in this country, in civil society, NGOs, the faith community across the board, to begin to look at solutions that we must jointly advocate for. And chief amongst those solutions is a change to our political system and political culture, including the electoral system, which we think is probably one of the big areas of change that this country needs.
Yeah. Okay, Neeshan, I'm without detracting from your program, I just want to ask you this question, which is a point I make here on eNCA from time to time on my program, and I try to include young people as much as possible. Do you have enough youth representation? Because this is about the future.
I think we do. I think more than 20% of the delegates at this conference are young people, but young people also feature in many of the panels. And most importantly, the Defend Our Democracy is headed by a team of very capable young women who have steered it for the last year and have organized this conference. So I think that there's a good intergenerational mix, and I think the focus of its outcomes is geared towards making sure that young people have a future in this country.
Yes, I mean, looking at some of the names, the panelists you've put together or that have been put together for this conference are really people who are active and involved. In fact, I just interviewed one of them the other day in the studio, Songezo Zibi, who just wrote that book about the manifesto. So come the end of Saturday, Cheryl Carolas is closing this conference, I understand. That's a veteran freedom fighter in the country. What does success then look like for you as you look back at the 2 days? I think we've lost the connection there. Yeah, it's frozen. What a pity.
I just want to move my computer.
Oh, okay, I can hear you. I can hear you, Neeshan. Hopefully we can get you back. I don't know if you got my question. There you are. Did you get my question, the last question I was putting to you? No, we're not going to win with that one. Apologies for that. Sorry, Neeshan, we're going to have to leave it at that. The connectivity just let us down with the last question. I just wanted to know how will they going to measure the success of this important conference that's happening. It's under the Defend Our Democracy campaign from the 1st to the 2nd of July. That's tomorrow to Saturday. Conference for Democratic Renewal and Change. It's going to be opened by the program director, Mujanku Gumbi, and a lot more other familiar names are on the program.